how about Tommy Edman? So Tommy Edman, he's set to start running early this week. The IL move for him was retroactive to Wednesday. The earliest he can be eligible to return is this Saturday, May 10th, the third game against the Diamondbacks in that 4-game series. So, look, hopefully that this ankle injury is nothing bad. It's nothing that's going to linger. They did what I was told was they learned a lot about ankle injuries last year with Freddie Freeman and with Will Smith as well. So they don't take ankle injuries lightly. Also, Edman was dealing with an ankle injury last year. So you put all those things together, you're going to know that if he does come back and it's just a minimum stay for him, that this wasn't anything that was serious and was more precautionary than anything else. But that's one of the big things you're looking for this week. Does Tommy Edman come off the IL as soon as he's eligible? And then another big one, how about Shohei Ohtani? So this is a season-long story. Shohei Ohtani's right UCL repair in 2023. We're all the way in 2025. And the difference for him this time around is he's also coming off a labrum surgery. So with the labrum surgery to his left shoulder, he hurt his shoulder sliding in the World Series in Game 2, had the surgery, and that pushed his offseason throwing program off. And then he started the year, and they kind of wanted to focus on getting him right at the plate, and he got off to a slow start. Now he's hitting like MVP Shohei once again. I called that home run yesterday. I was supposed to get 2, though, but hopefully I get 2 tonight. But I digress on that. The update on him on the pitching side, he threw 31 pitches on April 26. That was his first bullpen session since returning from the paternity list after he became a dad, having his first child, him and his wife, Mamiko, having a daughter. And then Dave said on Saturday that Shohei threw 35 pitches in a bullpen session in Atlanta. Doc said, hopefully at some point in time, we're going to start getting him to face some hitters, do some simulated games, start throwing some sliders. So I think if you just look at the natural progression, he's still a couple of months away. So if you're a couple of months away in the end of April, that means May and June. That means we're not seeing Shohei Ohtani until July. If you look at the All-Star game this year for Major League Baseball in Atlanta, the All-Star game is on July 15th. So either we see him right before the All-Star game or we see him right after. My assumption is you're probably going to see him right after just because of them slow playing him. But we'll see how this starting rotation plays out. At this point, I mean, there's all this talk. Barry Bonds and pundits, people in the media, hey, Shohei Ohtani should stick to just hitting. That's not a luxury I think the Dodgers will have, depending on what happens with Tyler Glasnow, depending on what happens with Blake Snell and how Clayton Kershaw looks, how Dustin May, Tony Gonsolin look, how Roki Sasaki continues to develop. Does Yamamoto stay healthy? I think by the time that Shohei Ohtani is ready, there could be a world where they don't just want him back or view that as a luxury, that they're going to need him back in order to go back-to-back, to go on and pursue another World Series title. I think that just kind of from what we've seen in recent years, that could be what they're up against. And Dave would also say that you're looking at the big checklist for him. It's when can he start throwing that slider? Because he hasn't thrown the slider in the bullpen session. And once he throws the slider, then you're going to see him face hitters. And they're not going to allow him to face hitters until he can use his full repertoire of pitches. That includes the fastball, the splitter, the sweeper, and the slider. So that's going to be a decision that Shohei Ohtani, the medical professionals, the trainers, and it's the front office, the entire organization is definitely in on this, but they're kind of also just kind of going off a lot of what Shohei Ohtani is saying based on his experience. So, yeah, he's got some boxes he still needs to check off. We still need to see him mix in more off-speed pitches, go through those up and downs in the bullpen. So he's just not there yet, and he's a couple of months away. And then there is Clayton Kershaw. So Clayton Kershaw, he is working his way back. He is going to throw a session in Arizona because they had to push his last start back because of inclement weather. It was raining. So he ended up making that start, went 5 innings, was stretched out to 5 frames through 66 pitches, gave a couple of home runs late to some big leaguers, Brousseau and Campusano, but still looked really good. The velocity, Dave Roberts said he always wants more velocity, so as long as he's sitting 91, 92 to something in that range. You feel great about it, but he can still be effective at 90 as long as he has the feel for the slider, as long as he's commanding it. He's working in some changeups and different pitches. So, I mean, I think this could be a little bit of a Kershaw 3.0, right, where he's reinventing himself once again. He's going to pitch again, though, in the Arizona Complex League on May 6th. Today's when he's scheduled, and then he's going to make one more rehab start, and then he can be activated on March 18th. So that's the plan for Clayton Kershaw. Dave said the arm is a lot further along than the toe, and that's the big question, is the left toe, because that extra push-off and being healthy there is what's going to allow him to get the maximum velocity. So that's where he's at. Michael Kopech, he started facing hitters once again, and the expectation for him is he could start a rehab assignment this week. So he was placed on the 60-day IL. It was kind of one of those, there's nothing to see here, thankfully, because it wasn't a setback or anything like that, and he wasn't going to be ready anyway to get that first IL stint. So hopefully things will be okay with Michael Kopech, and he just progresses and he bounces back well. I have some concern about him just because he is a flamethrower, right? And when you throw extreme high velocity, you can be more susceptible to arm injuries. And a guy that's dealt with inflammation and a shoulder impingement, definitely am keeping a close eye on him. Blake Treinen, you're not going to see him for a long time. He was placed on the 60-day IL. Earliest you could see him is in June. I don't even think you're going to see him. They had an MRI that revealed a low-grade sprain. He hasn't resumed playing catch. He's just resting. And Dave Roberts said that him and Blake Snell are laying low. Tyler Glasnow, we haven't got a lot of clarity on where he's at. I mean, even Mark Pryor said that they had their questions and didn't know what was actually wrong with him. I've said it on this show that it's been kind of a situation of there's a little bit of, okay, you fix one thing and then another thing starts to become a concern. It is the game of whack-a-mole for him, is he changed his delivery and the mechanics to take some pressure off his elbow, and by doing that, now there's pressure on his shoulder. So that's the issue. He felt his shoulder grab in his last start. He exited on an April 27 start before throwing in the second inning, and the shoulder discomfort led him to be shut down. So the plan was on April 27th to shut him down for 2 weeks, then to reassess where he's at, go through some workouts, and then we'll know more. So that's where we're at. I have to admit, this, my heart of hearts, I just, man, Tyler Glasnow, you feel bad for him because he wants to be out there, and just from an injury standpoint, he just had some bad luck. Blake Snell, he was shut down from throwing after playing catch on April 22nd. He got an injection on his shoulder. He's been resting. He's been rehabbing, and we're waiting to see when he's going to be cleared to throw again. So that's going to be one that hopefully we'll get an update from Dave Roberts on. And guys like Edgardo Enriquez, Kyle Hurt, Emmett Sheehan you could see back probably around the All-Star break. He got Tommy John in May of 2024. He started throwing off a mound. So hopefully he begins a rehab assignment at some point, either later this month or in June. Brusdar Graterol, you're going to see him in the second half of 2025. He had labrum surgery on November 14th. Gavin Stone's out for the year with right shoulder surgery. River Ryan, he is most likely going to be out for the entire season. He had Tommy John surgery in August. Usually you're looking at 12 to 16 months. I mean, technically, there could be a chance he comes back, but most likely he misses the entire 2025 season. Michael Grove, he had a right labrum procedure in March. He's expected to miss the entire 2025 season. Kyle Hurt, the latest he'd come back is late of 2025. So he had Tommy John surgery last July. Then Edgardo Enriquez is an interesting one. I asked Dave Roberts about Edgardo Enriquez after he had a non-baseball injury, wasn't able to start the season because of a broken foot, essentially, and he had a left metatarsal fracture. No news on him, so I'm going to try to get some info on him when the Dodgers come back. But that is your extended injury update. Let's see if we got any news from Miami, from Dave Roberts, on the Teoscar Hernandez IL placement.